Emil Kadlec here with the line of scrimmage. Football Diehards, week 6 of the NFL season. We have the star of the show, the scholar, John Laub. How you doing, John?
I'm doing great. What a perfect day in Connecticut in the fall. But more importantly, Emil, I'm coming off a very hot week. Last week, my summa cum laude lineup smashed a home run. We had Kadarius Toney, James Robinson, Leonard Fournette, Ezekiel Elliott, Justin Jefferson, scored 176 points, cashed in that lineup everywhere, in about the top 24%, 22%, depending on where. And our contrarian stack, if you were listening to the show last week, I said the game that no one's investing in is the Browns and the Chargers. The only mistake that I had was I had Jared Cook instead of Donald Parham. But that lineup in the GPP completely hit the home run. Justin Herbert, Kareem Hunt, unbelievable week for the contrarian stack. So that's 2 out of the first 5 weeks we've hit a home run on the contrarian stack in GPP. So we got another good one for you tonight. We're looking, again, I'm looking for the home run or I'm out. It doesn't matter if you finish in the top 2% or the bottom 2%. It's all or nothing in GPPs, friends.
And, of course, 2 out of 4, 2 out of 5.
2 out of 5 on
GPP, that's a hell of a percentage.
Yes. We'll see if we can keep it up. I'm hoping. I've been working hard this weekend.
All right, let's go to the first slide.
This week, there are only 10 games on the slate. We have our first week of buys, and we had a game on Thursday. We have a game, Sunday night, Monday night. So it's going to be tight. And I've been working these cash game lineups for a long, looking for it, finding value. So we've got to make sure that we find value and we put in all of the right plays. If you're looking to save the quarterback, and this, I'm going to talk about this a little later in the show. But if you do want to look to save at that position, in my opinion, there's no better player right now than Carson Wentz. Emil, look at that salary. It's only $5,400. I consider a quarterback under $6,000, a starting quarterback, to be a bargain under $6,000. To get a starting quarterback as good as Wentz at $5,400. And our projections have him at 2% ownership. Now, the algorithm at DraftKings does not take into account the performance against the Ravens on Monday night because the salaries and the slate comes out beforehand. So we don't even get a factor in that amazing game against the Ravens. But he did score 26.5 points. And anyone who watched that game, Carson Wentz played great against the Ravens that night. Now, in his last 5 games, Carson Wentz against Miami scored 18. He only scored 8 against Tennessee, but 18 against the Rams and 19 against Seattle opening week. I like Carson Wentz this week because he's at home playing the Texans. I would have been scared earlier because I wasn't sure if the Texans could keep Wentz on the field, that this might be a game where the Colts absolutely blow out the Texans. But Emil, when you watch the Texans this year, I have to admit, I'm shocked at how well they're playing. It might not be coming through in one-loss record. It might not look pretty. But I give the Texans credit for playing hard. What does that tell me? Wentz will most likely be on the field throwing the football longer than I would have projected 3 or 4 weeks ago. So $5,400, if you're looking to spend up at the running back and wide receiver position, Carson Wentz is your option here for $5,400. Khalil Herbert. I went back. I saw my scouting breakdown on Football Diehards, my written analysis on Khalil Herbert. I reread that. I rewatched my video breakdown that I do with my partner Matt Hicks. Rewatched that show. And then I went back to my notes on Khalil Herbert last year at Virginia Tech. I was pleasantly surprised with David Montgomery being out that Khalil Herbert got 18 carries. I was kind of shocked because we played Damian Williams and he did very well for us last week. But Khalil Herbert did well also. 18 carries, 75 yards. The hole in the resume is pass catching. And I understand that that is a concern. But Khalil Herbert did have some receptions at Kansas and at Virginia Tech. He was not prolific. But we have to understand when we look at college running backs, it is so dependent on scheme. Virginia Tech does not throw the football to their running backs. That's not their offensive scheme. And then he played at Kansas. And Kansas does not have effective quarterbacks during the tenure that Khalil Herbert was there. If you search hard enough, you can find some promising catches by the former Okie. I'm not telling you he's not necessarily a star, but could he be proficient like a Leonard Fournette? I believe he can. It's there. Why do I like him even more? Damian Williams went on the COVID list. Not likely to play. You're getting a starting running back in a system that right now is looking to hide its quarterback. They are not letting Justin Fields be Justin Fields, at least not last week against the Raiders, and they won that game. Now, if the game script goes as I expect, the Packers will jump in front, obviously, with that high-powered offense. That will force the Bears to open up the scheme a little bit. Herbert should have at least 4 to 5 targets in this game, especially if the Bears fall behind. I like Herbert here a ton. Now, the fantasy community is caught on. This morning, Herbert was on 9% of our, according to our percentages at footballdiehards.com. When I came home today and looked, because I do a last-second check before I send in the slides for the program, Khalil Herbert was up to 21%. I don't care if it's a free square. For $4,600, starting running back on the Chicago Bears, I'm taking it, Emil. Even if in cash games he's 21% owned, I like it. I wanted to go way down at wide receiver. And there are lots of options here. I'm going to give you another cheap play on the next screen. But one of the players that I liked when I was doing my research, I think the Rams are going to smack the Giants. Last week I told everyone that I thought the Giants were going to lose to Dallas, and they did. I knew Dallas was going to smack them. Now, obviously, the Giants had a plethora of injuries, including Saquon Barkley, which hurt me. And they lost Daniel Jones. But Kadarius Toney shined. Ooh, was that a good game by Kadarius Toney? I think the Rams are going to smash New York here. He's only $3,400. Significant savings. Significant savings. If you want to be involved in that Chiefs-Washington game, if you want to get involved into the Chargers and Ravens game, if you want to be involved in the Cowboys and the Patriots game, you're going to have to find salary savings. Van Jefferson is high risk. I get it. But he has had 2 smash games. Week 1 against Chicago, 16 points. Week 4 against the Arizona, 21. I understand that in the other 3 games, he's below double-digit points. And 2 of the games, he scored 2.5 points. So there is great risk here. But Van Jefferson is getting enough snaps, and he does have some big target games. In his last 3 games, he has 4, 6, and 6 targets. If we can get Van Jefferson up to 6 targets in this game against the Giants, he'll be productive, and he's only 3,400. I like him in this matchup. If you need a salary savings wide receiver, I like Van Jefferson a ton. If you're going to go cheap, I think there's only 2 options on this slate at tight end. You go up with Travis Kelce, or you pay down. And the player that I'm paying down with is Ricky Seals-Jones. When you look at snaps, you look at targets, you look at red zone targets, everything is a bright light, Emil. Yes. He was on the field the vast majority of snaps. He had 3 red zone targets, didn't catch 1. He had 9 targets in this game. He only had 5 receptions. Ricky Seals-Jones plays tight end, but he was a wide receiver at Texas A&M. Converted to tight end in the NFL. He's only $3,000. This is the highest over-under against the Chiefs. You know Patrick Mahomes and Kansas City are going to put points on the board. Well, what will that do? That will force Tyler Heineke and the Washington football team to throw the ball. I love Ricky Seals-Jones here for $3,000. He's 16% owned, but he gives you so much salary flexibility, Emil. I love him. And those are my deep sleepers this week, everyone.
Yeah, and Seals-Jones did very well last week. I mean, he was fine. He did get at least 1 target inside the 10 zone. And he had a chance to catch the touchdown, but he missed it. So they're not afraid, obviously, to throw the ball down at the goal line to him. So, man, if he got a touchdown, that would just be fantastic.
That's all we need, Emil, and we know they can be fickle. If he has, 5 receptions for 48 yards and a touchdown, we're golden.
Exactly. Now, let's see. I put this lineup in. Let's see. Wentz, Herbert, Van Jefferson, and Seals. Obviously, we got in this first one I put in with our generator here on footballdivers.com. And, of course, you can put in for 50 lineups and do all sorts of other functions like eliminate players or force other players. And it has Elliott at running back. It has Devontae Adams at receiver. Chase for Cincinnati. It has Eckler as the flex. And it has a defense. I think it's Buffalo's defense.
Oh, so this is nice. With this kind of core of sleepers, you really have enough salary to invest in high-end running backs, and you get Devontae Adams and Jamar Chase. That's pretty nice in our optimizer.
Yeah, that's a pretty darn good, and that's the first lineup it came up with. Obviously, it can do many lineups and do many things. But yeah, that's good news. There's nothing wrong with that at all. All right, off to the. I was going to say something, and now I forgot what it was. But never mind. Oh, it was that Giants, that Tony guy. Oh, did he look good? But he's got to tame down his personality. He's still a pretty young little boy, who's. I saw that scrum, and I saw this guy running and start swinging. I thought, I bet that's Tony, and it was.
It was, my friend.
Oh, well. But, yeah, loads of talent. All right, off to the next view graph.
Our Fantastic Four. Now, Emil just said you could plug all 4 sleepers into our optimizer and get a great lineup. On the Fantastic Four that I give you every week, these are my most confident plays with a very high floor, and I'm also looking for a ceiling. The first decision that I make every week when I'm on a slate for my Fantastic Four is what am I going to do with the quarterback position? And Emil, I want a piece of the Ravens and Chargers. I love the Chargers and the Browns. How could you not have loved the fourth quarter comeback of the Ravens versus the Colts? Lamar Jackson and Justin Herbert are playing out of their minds football. They are sensational right now. Both of them are fantasy studs. I want a piece of this game. Lamar Jackson is less than Patrick Mahomes and Kyler Murray. He is 900 less than Patrick Mahomes. I have taken Jackson because of the rushing upside. His numbers are silly. We can talk about his efficiency, and his passing has been so good, Emil. But the running, 62 yards, 28 yards, 58 yards, 107 yards, 86 yards in his 5 games. You know, Emil, he hasn't scored a rushing touchdown since week 2.
Oh.
Well, we know he's going to have between 7 and 10 touchdowns by the end of the season on the ground, minimum. Lamar Jackson is due for a rushing touchdown. Last week, he threw for 442 yards and 4 touchdowns. The week before, he had 316 yards and a touchdown. Absolutely love Lamar Jackson. You have the second highest over-under, 51.5. I am going to take Lamar here in a smash spot at home. He's still only 15% owned, which in a cash game, I'm very, very happy and pleasantly surprised by that. How much, Emil, can you do 2 players for me? How much is Jefferson or Justin Herbert owned, and how much is Kareem Hunt now? While I go on about Jonathan Taylor here.
All right, let's go take a quick look here. Just take me a sec to get to that. Well, maybe it's going to take me longer. I'm a little slow.
No, no problem. I love Jonathan Taylor in this game. Now, if you have Carson Wentz and you choose to do contrarian with the low-value quarterback, you can't put Jonathan Taylor in my book. But what has really smacked me right in the face about a DFS option and a PPR option? We were all a little concerned about Jonathan Taylor's production in the passing game. Wow. Check out some of these. Opening week, 7 targets, 6 receptions. 2 weeks ago against Miami, 3 targets, 3 receptions. Last week against the Ravens, 3 targets, 4 receptions. Now, in the other games, he's only had 1 target in each. So a little inconsistency. But I do see production in the passing game. Last week, he scored 34 points on DraftKings and 23 points the week before. He's at home against the depleted Texans offense. Jonathan Taylor looks great. I've been high on him all year. He's only 6,600. I love this. Lamar Jackson and Jonathan Taylor is the foundation of my Fantastic Four. And here's why. Emil, what are the numbers on Kareem Hunt there right now?
All right, just give me a sec.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, that's all right. I couldn't remember. I was fiddling around. Kareem Hunt. He is 33.8% owned, the top running back owned so far coming into Sunday.
So earlier today, if we had recorded this in the morning, I had Kareem Hunt because he was only on 11%.
Ooh.
Within the last 12 hours, he's gone up, what did you say, 34%?
Yes.
I just decided that for my Fantastic Four, I'm going to kind of, zig a little bit. Not total zig when everyone's zagging, but Kareem Hunt is still a great option. He's in my sheet of knowledge. He's in one of my 2 lineups. So there's nothing wrong with Kareem Hunt. But I decided for my Fantastic Four for our viewers, I believe Jonathan Taylor has just as high of a ceiling as Kareem Hunt. If he could somehow outperform Hunt and you have less than 50% of ownership, that is a huge advantage in a cash game. So I'm going to go with Jonathan Taylor in my Fantastic Four. And you can put Hunt with him. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But that is up for our viewers tonight. And I said, how do I look at Lamar Jackson in this game? We obviously just saw Marquis Brown go off and Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews has the better matchup this week at tight end. Marquis Brown, it's interesting. There's a little concern because the Chargers have not given up a lot of points to number 1 wide receivers, and they don't give up a lot of deep shots down the field. If you've been watching Marquis Brown, he's been tremendous on those deep plays this year with Lamar Jackson just flinging that football. I'm going to leave it up to the viewer. Do you want to attach Marquis Brown, or do you want to go Mark Andrews and pay up in the middle round? He's less than Kelsey and far more than Ricky Seals-Jones. I'll leave that to our viewers. You can go to Football Diehards. We have lots of great information. I have my sheet of knowledge up there. So what I wanted to do, I want to give you another play because I really like this Chargers-Ravens outcome. I love this game. I'm going to give you Keenan Allen. Everyone just saw how Michael Williams was unbelievable. But I do believe that Michael Williams had a DNP, did not practice 3 consecutive days this week. Now, it looks like he should play. We'll know in the morning. And pay attention to footballdiehards.com. You can listen to Bob Harris on SiriusXM, give us all the update and injury reports. So we don't know 100% the situation with Mike Williams yet. But regardless, if he plays or does not play, I love Keenan Allen. Emil, he's too talented. He's too good. He's too productive historically. He's a star. He has only scored 1 touchdown this year.
Wow.
Now, Keenan Allen is not one of those uber production. I don't think he's ever had double-digit touchdowns, but I could be wrong. But I'm pretty sure he's never had more than 10 touchdowns. But I still expect him to score between 7 and 9 every season. The touchdowns are going to come. Stephon Diggs hasn't scored a lot of touchdowns. They're going to come. I think Keenan Allen and Stephon Diggs, but Stephon Diggs is not on this slate. Stephon Diggs and Keenan Allen are due for some touchdown regression for our side as fantasy fans. Absolutely love him here. I think he's going to pop in the next 2 weeks with 2 touchdowns in one of these games. I'll take him here because if I'm the Ravens, I've got to stop Michael Williams. I've got to stop Michael Williams. If I don't stop Michael Williams, I'm going to lose this game quick because Williams will beat you over the top for 50 yards. Well, what does that tell me? Keenan Allen is going to have much more beneficial one-on-one matchups. I love him here. I had to find salary savings for our viewers to build our cash game lineups. I've been talking about that Ravens game. Chargers, I love it. The highest game on the slate is Kansas City, Washington. If you go to my sheet of knowledge, I'll show you how I built a lineup around Kansas City and Washington. Go to there now. But in our cash game, I'm going to take a wide receiver tethered to Patrick Mahomes with the highest over-under on the slate. The over-under is 54.5, Emil. Last week, Mecole Hardman had 12 targets. Woo! 12 targets. 9 receptions, 76 yards. He's only 4,200. I don't know if he'll get 12 targets again. That's a lot to ask. But as long as we get 9 targets at 4,200, and we know how bad is that Washington secondary, they're just atrocious this year, Emil. I'll take Mecole Hardman because I want some of that game action, Kansas City against Washington, and that week is my Fantastic Four. Plug it into our optimizer, and you can get up to 50 lineups around my Fantastic Four. Emil, were you able to put any those plays into a lineup?
Yes, I was. And here's the top lineup that I came up with the optimizer on footballdivers.com. It has Elliott. It has Mooney at wide receiver for Chicago. It has Seals-Jones. It has Eckler. And it has Buffalo's defense. And it all fits in $49,800 of DraftKings dollars.
That's really nice, my friend. with Elliott and Eckler, And you're getting another piece of that Chargers offense.
Cheap.
I like that.
It went cheap on Mooney. Probably we have him
Yes.
ranked a little higher is probably why we got that. So, yeah. And, again, it gives a whole bunch of lineups and all sorts of things. Fantastic.
Awesome,
now, do you think, Kansas City's in a very unusual situation over the last 3 years. I mean, don't you think that they sat down this week and said, okay, enough of this BS. Let's go. They could just smash.
I do think that, and sometimes I do get a little worried, Emil, when the whole world thinks that. Sometimes it doesn't go your way, but it just seems so obvious now that Kansas City has to get that offense back on track. You are playing a very poor defensive team. It seems like a perfect spot to really unleash that offense. That's why I like Hardman. And if you go to my sheet of knowledge, I do have a Patrick Mahomes lineup. So you can go check it out and see how I built one lineup around Lamar Jackson and the Chargers, and I built another lineup around the Chiefs and Washington. So you can see how I like these two teams. But I do like the Lamar Jackson side a little bit better because of the salary savings at the quarterback.
Gotcha. All right, you ready for the next slide?
Absolutely.
Boom. There we are.
If you love what Emil and I do every Saturday on our Line of Scrimmage show, we are here to help you build better DFS lineups across our platform. I have the sheet of knowledge every week that is published Friday and updated Sunday mornings. But all week long on the Football Diehards, we are going to help you build better DFS lineups. We have the DraftKings Cash Plays and DFS GBP stacks by Jamie Calandro. Sorry about that. We also have the Shadow Nose by Gary Davenport, which is wide receiver, cornerback matchups. We have the Hall of Famer Bob Harris does our DFS 3 and out every week. We have Digging in the Crates Daily with Justin Lanero. And then Sunday morning, we have the DFS Football Diehard Show with Jason and Jamie every morning. I think that's at 10 a.m. Eastern time, right,
Exactly.
Emil?
Yep, 10 a.m. Eastern.
And all of that information, plus our optimizer, helps you, the viewer, build better DFS lineups.
Wonderful. All right, to the final slide.
All right, last week was the second time that we identified the contrarian game to stack. Last week we had the Chargers-Browns. I said it had sneaky shootout. Justin Herbert was almost criminally under-owned. I think he was like on 6%. I mean, it was just crazy. No one was interested in Justin Herbert from a DFS standpoint last weekend. And Kareem Hunt went off. I mean, it was just I wish I had Donald Parham instead of Jared Cook. But we move on. This week, we know the universe is going to go Kansas City at Washington. We know everyone loves the Chargers and the Ravens. There's always Cowboy fans and Patriot fans. They're going to stack that game. Now without Cliff Kingsbury, I think they have two other offensive coaches out of this game, plus no Nick Chubb for Cleveland. I got off of Arizona and Cleveland. I decided that's not where I wanted to go. I decided I needed a game in which had stars, but stars that people and DFS players are not thinking about. I chose the Vikings and the Panthers. Also, once Christian McCaffrey was ruled out, I have definitely latched on to Chuba Hubbard. Emil, he's only 5,900. Last week, he scored 21.5 points. This offense last year got Mike Davis a huge contract with the Atlanta Falcons. And Mike Davis is not living up to that contract for Atlanta. But he was great in this offensive scheme. The first game against Dallas, when the DFS community was excited about Chuba Hubbard, he was going to start. He went out and laid an egg, 9.1 points. But last week, when no one was looking, very quietly and without much fanfare, Chuba Hubbard scored 21.5 DraftKings points, Emil.
Nice.
5 of 6. He had 6 targets, 5 receptions for 33 yards, and he gained 101 yards rushing on 24 carries. He scored 21 points without a rushing touchdown, and no one is talking about him DFS environment. Look at that. He's 4% owned, Emil.
That's crazy.
I have him in a cash game lineup. You know why? Joe Brady made a star out of Clyde Edwards-Helaire at LSU. Christian McCaffrey was a rock star before he got injured last year in Joe Brady's system. Mike Davis got a huge contract because of Joe Brady's system. Christian McCaffrey was playing well this year in Joe Brady's system. It took Chuba Hubbard a while. Last week, he embraced the system. He got the touches, and he is the guy. There's no one else in Carolina. The young man had 29 touches in Joe Brady's system. Joe Brady's system works. I have been following Joe Brady's system for the last 3 years from LSU, now with Carolina. He should get a head coaching job, folks. He's the next man up for a head coaching job. Chuba Hubbard is the man to smash here. 4% owned. So as soon as I identified Chuba, I had to go, you know what? I'm going back to Kirk Cousins. No one wants him. He opened up 25, 25, and 28 points. He was jamming. He was hot. What has he done? He's come back with 2 stinkers, 11 and 14. You know what, Emil? See that 3% ownership there? I'm all in, baby. All in. I can get 25 to 28 points if this game shoots out from a quarterback who's only 3% owned. Oh, I'm all in. Kirk Cousins, look, and he's wildly inconsistent. We've seen this over his career. We are used to it. The Panthers' defense is not very good. He can beat this defense. So then my question was, what do I do at wide receiver? We have 2 stars, Justin Jefferson and DJ Moore. Well, you know what, Emil? I'm going to go with the much lower ownership. Do you have the numbers? What's Justin Jefferson there, my friend?
Justin Jefferson? I went to another screen,
what's his
so
number?
just give me a moment here. Come on here. Justin Jefferson's at 9.6% owned.
I'm getting basically a 4% reduction in ownership to go from Justin Jefferson to DJ Moore. You also have some salary savings. Let me see what Justin Jefferson is.
He's
$8,000.
$8,000, so you're saving $700.
$700. Look at some of these lines. DJ Moore, 35 points against Dallas, 23 points against Houston, 22 points against New Orleans. He came back with the game in which people are now down on him against Philadelphia. He only had 8.8 points. That's why we're getting DJ Moore at 6% ownership. I'll take the chance that DJ Moore matches Justin Jefferson or comes really close. So I'm going DJ Moore. Well, that left me obviously one play. I've got to go Adam Thielen here. Adam Thielen scored the first 3 weeks of the season. 2 touchdowns, 1 touchdown, 1 touchdown. Scored over 16 points each week on DraftKings. Since then, Thielen has only scored 7 and 6 DraftKings points. I like Thielen and Cousins here to bounce back. I think Thielen will beat this Carolina secondary. He might even be matched up with rookies. This is a very bad spot for Carolina secondary because you're going to have to double or umbrella coverage on Justin Jefferson. Adam Thielen scores in chunks. We've seen this. He is the type of player that is going to score 2 or 3 touchdowns and just explode. He does it over the last 3 years. Emil, he's less than $6,000. I'm getting Adam Thielen for $5,800. I mean, look at it, Mike. Nothing's guaranteed. We played DFS, but you got to play the odds with the ceiling. And when I'm getting a star in Adam Thielen with that type of ceiling for less than $6,000, I've got to do it. And then I needed a play because this was a higher salary contrarian lineup than I usually build because there wasn't a lot of value, and Dalvin Cook would have put me sky high. So you also have to hope that Chuba does almost as well as Dalvin Cook, but that's why you play contrarian stack. And you hope that Tyler Conklin, all I'm looking for is a ceiling. Against Seattle, in week 3, he scored 20 points. I don't know if he'll get 20 here. I doubt it. I'm hoping for 12 points or more. But for a tight end at 2% ownership, if I think this game will go over 50. I think Darnold will play better. I think DJ Moore will play better. Chuba Hubbard is going to play well. I really think that this game has 56-point potential. And we're looking at 756 would be what? 8 touchdowns. I love this lineup because I think there's an outside chance for 8 touchdowns, and that's my contrarian stack. Emil, did you plug that into our optimizer?
Yes, I did. And in the top lineup from our optimizer is Elliott again. We have Van Jefferson is actually in.
Ooh.
And we have Eckler, and we have the Buffalo defense again. Now, remember, this is one out of many lineups that you can accumulate, but this is the one that they came up with that the optimizer feels is the number one lineup.
Yeah, it's awesome. Hey, the optimizer works for these. I mean, I love it for the contrarian stacks, everyone, because it finds the value for you around these plays that have very low ownership. And again, when I give you a contrarian stack, I don't want to finish in the top 12%. I want to finish either top 2 or all the way at the bottom, my friends. That's why they're high risk, but you're looking for these low players who are low rostered with very high ceilings.
And remember, the optimizer, you can put many lineups in. As you go through it, you may have another player that you definitely want to play that you can add in and force the player to play. Or you have a player you don't want. Let's say you don't like Elliott this week, and you can unmask them so they won't be picked in the optimizer, and then see what lineups it comes up with. So,
you're right. I forgot about that. You're right about that. That's great.
It's insane. You can sit. It
is insane.
Fantastic. That's going to be a fun one. That's congrats from last week. What an incredible! And I can't believe that Cleveland in the fourth quarter just could not stop San Diego, and vice versa. Neither
one. That was one of the best games I've seen. Remember the Rams-Kansas City game with Jared Goff and Patrick Mahomes on that Monday night?
Yeah.
That was just one of those games. If you love fantasy football and the NFL, when you get these shootouts with quarterbacks at the top of their games, and Wentz was at the top, with Baker playing at the top of his game and Justin Herbert, it was just so much fun.
Yeah, Baker came back and played well, with his injury on his opposite shoulder. But did you notice ODB didn't do a lot in that game?
No, I'm lucky. I have no shares of Odell in regular season. Didn't draft him anywhere. 23 drafts, never touched Odell.
Whoa.
I played him too. Well, I'm down on him. He's 3 years away now from being good. And I like Jarvis Landry. Was just such a better. I love Jarvis Landry at the time for the value. I was getting him in around 10 and 11. Yeah. So I have a lot of Jarvis, and I'm so glad he's back. But a player you should watch. We don't do this for regular season, dynasty, anything. If you start looking, Donovan Peoples-Jones His snap counts are going up, his targets are going up, and he's playing well. Watch for Donovan. Donovan Peoples-Jones is an interesting player. He's very young, but I've been watching him closely. I liked him coming out of Michigan. If Jarvis was not playing this week, I probably would have had Donovan Peoples-Jones above Van Jefferson. It was like McCole Hardman, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Van Jefferson, Darnell Mooney, who our optimizer likes. Those are the four guys. I chose Hardman because he's attached to Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. So I think there's look, you got to bet on the quarterback a little bit with the receiver, right?
Yeah.
But I once Landry might play tomorrow, I was like, he's going to cut into maybe snaps and targets of Donovan Peoples. He should.
Makes sense.
So
makes a lot of sense.
But I have Donovan Peoples-Jones in a ton of dynasty leagues. I've been watching him very closely. I do like his game. He's a good receiver.
Maybe tomorrow ODB can block for Landry. Maybe that's where he can add value.
Something's happened. It's
remember he's coming back from an injury. He didn't play for 2-3 weeks. So, but I still watch the emotion of this guy, and he just seems so negative.
There's something. Yeah, I mean, we've seen this with players on teams. It's not. Maybe it's a square peg in a round hole. It just isn't working. Just isn't working.
But it's the second team.
Yeah.
That he's had a little square round hole problem. But anyway.
Yes, and then I wonder, it's interesting because being in the tri-state area, I saw a lot of Giants games with him.
Mm-hmm.
Eli used to feed him, and I wonder how much it was just out of desperation because Eli was old at the end of his game. I mean, if you watch some of those game logs and you watch the tape, Eli was just like, throw it up to Odell.
But it worked.
Oh, it worked.
It worked.
But it hasn't been working since Eli was gone, basically.
No. Anyway, we can get off on that one.
Yeah.
Hey, great show.
Right.
I can't wait to put some lineups in. I'll probably wait till tomorrow morning because I've got other things to do. But, man, this is going to be it's going to be a fun week. I'm enjoying it. Of course, we have the bye week, so we have less players to work with. So that'll be fun.
Yeah.
All right, anything else?
Yeah, just go to our website. Oh, I was going to say, go to our website. The sheet of knowledge is up there. All of that great info in the optimizer. Check it out. And I update by 9 a.m. Eastern time every Sunday morning.
And that's 7 o'clock my time zone. That's early.
That's about when I get up.
That's about when I get up. All right, John. Great show. Thanks a lot. And have a great week 6 on Sunday. And so do our fans.